Oh, hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, depending on which part of this beautiful country that you're in. The part of the beautiful country that I'm in is Banff, Alberta, and I'm joined by my co-host who is in beautiful Regina, Saskatchewan, Lise Merle, and you are watching our daily news and opinion live stream, Rebel Roundup. Lise, how's it going?
Well, hello, my beloved Sheila Gunn Reid, and I hope it's going well for you in beautiful Kananaskis, Alberta. I'm still coming off the high I got from meeting over 700 rebels in Red Deer, Alberta this weekend, and receiving all of that love. As you know, it is my favorite. It is my absolute. It gives me life to meet our viewers in the wild, and we got to spend a good deal of time with 700 of them, and it was incredible. How are you in Kananaskis?
You know, I'm real glad that I met 700 people that are cheering for us to continue on and to work hard and to bring the message of the normal people, because I am in one of the most beautiful and most photographed places on the face of the earth. However, I'm penned up with like 1,400 journalists here at the Banff Media Center, uh, because we're not allowed in Kananaskis. That's only for pooled media to get over there. And so
Oh,
we're here, and I'm here with some of the crazy lunatics from the leaders debate who heckled us for 2 straight days there. They have me for 3 days here, although no heckling has occurred. And I think it's because of the extreme police presence. I'm here covering, of course, the G7, the meeting of the G7, Carney's first and Trump's first post re-election. And it has been anticlimactic here because Trump was here for one day and then he left. And
yeah.
there was no Canadian deal struck. Trump came here and he signed a deal that was already negotiated with the UK, so they got her done. And with Carney, Trump and Carney agreed to keep talking, which is, I guess, the status quo. And if you see the mainstream media reporting this, they're like, well, yeah, that's breaking. Trump and Carney agree to keep talking. Are you running out of headlines? Like, you're running out of headlines. And then since Trump left last night to deal with escalating conflict between Iran and Israel, my entertainment value for the day has plummeted because today Zelensky is in town. And I was just waiting for a repeat of before. Instead, I found out that the Canadian taxpayer is giving him $2 billion. But we can get into all of that in a second. I'll tell everybody what we're doing besides the fact me complaining about being at the G7. And I shouldn't really complain because this is not the worst place that I could possibly be. But I'm not able to do the job that I really want to do, and that's ask world leaders questions. If you are watching us on the censorship platform of YouTube, we are still remonetized there miraculously. If you want to support the work that we do there and help us democratize the show, we want you to ask us questions so we can respond to them. You can leave a paid chat. It's called a super chat. And if it's over the $5 US cutoff, we're doing our best to get, or we will get to it. If it's under that, we'll do our best. And the reason I'm saying that today is because we have a hard stop like 10 after the top of the hour. If you are watching us on Rumble, you can leave us a Rumble rant. That's your pay chat, and the same rules apply. And if you're watching the recorded version of the live stream on YouTube, you can also leave a super thanks. That's their paid comment. So those are all the details of the show. Olivia in studio. I'm just seeing Lisa. I'm not really seeing the screen or my side by side, but I'll figure it out. We've got a video though of at the G7. Carney promises to give Zelensky $2 billion in direct military aid and another $2 billion in Russian assets that were frozen by Trudeau's government. Let's watch this.
I would like to start by condemning in the strongest terms the latest outrage, barbarism from Russia, and express my deep condolences and those of the Canadian people to the families in Kyiv who were affected. This underscores the importance of standing in total solidarity with Ukraine, with the Ukrainian people, And we had a discussion last night amongst G7 leaders. The President and I will discuss more, and then of course we'll have the direct discussion in a moment together. But we underscored the importance of using maximum pressure against Russia, who has refused to come to the table. The President has led unconditionally to come to the table in search of peace. And maximum pressure includes financial pressure, and Canada is announcing today several measures, sanctions, first and foremost, against a number of individuals in Russia, against over 40 entities in Russia and beyond that are trying to contribute to the evasion of sanctions, the sanctioning of over 200 vessels in the shadow fleet that Russia is using, again, to try to evade these sanctions. That's the first thing. The second is we are providing additional military assistance, drones, helicopters, broader munitions, over $2 billion worth of assistance directly to Ukraine. And thirdly, we are dispersing the next tranche of the loan based on the frozen Russian assets, over $2 billion as well. This is our contribution. We'll be working with our European and other allies for their contributions to provide the support. And to be absolutely clear, the support will be unwavering until we get a just peace for Ukraine and Ukrainian people.
Thanks so much, dear Prime Minister. First of all, good to be here in Canada, and for the G7 summit, thank you for your invitation. But first of all, thank you for your very important words, warm words, and supporting Ukraine. Of course, condolences to our families. Really, our families had very difficult night. One of the biggest attacks from the very beginning of this war, 440 Shaheeds, Iranian drones, and 32 missiles, including ballistic. And I was on direct connection during the flight with all the ministers and of course with the chief of air defense, and really it was a big attack on civilian infrastructure, on people, just people, houses and etc. And for now, information is not total information, not that final information, but for now we have 138 injured people and 12 killed. And so, yes, it's a big tragedy for us, and we need support from our allies, and I'm here, and thank you for the military package. It's important for our soldiers to be strong at the battlefield, to stay strong out until Russia will be ready for the peace negotiations. We are ready for the peace negotiations, unconditional ceasefire. I think it's very important, but for this we need pressure. And of course I want to speak with Prime Minister today about sanctions, additional sanctions, and thanks for the real unwavering support from your side, from all the Canadians to our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was a $5 billion press conference you just watched, Canada. So in addition to the $4 billion of Canadian taxpayer funds and Russian assets that they're going to hand over just on a silver platter to Ukraine, they also spent $1 billion on this meeting in Kananaskis, all things considered. When you take into account transportation, security, accommodations, the planning that goes involved, that gets involved in planning these conferences. That was a $5 billion press conference you just watched, Canada. And I thought something that Prime Minister Mark Carney said was really interesting was the president, this is the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, has refused to come to the table to talk about peace. Well,
they kicked him out of the G8.
President Trump detailed this yesterday. They literally insisted, former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and former President Joe Biden kicked him out of the G8. So how is he supposed to broker peace when they literally insisted that he leave? It is crazy.
Right.
This is crazy.
Right. That's the thing. You kicked him off the table. And look, I'm no fan of Putin. I'm no Putin apologist. But if you want a path forward to peace, and a way to stop the bonfire of bodies and international money, then you have to talk to Putin. You have to. And he's not here. And neither is Trump. And so I guess that was all that was left to do with Zelensky, was just offer to give him more money, because Trump was here. He's gone. Today, Zelensky came in. Mark Rutte of NATO also came in, and they were supposed to talk about how to deal with Russia while Russia is not here. But Trump has sort of positioned himself as the peace and power broker between the two parties, and he's not here. So what is supposed to be happening today? I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Yep. And while they offer up drones and military and money to the Ukraine, while the Canadian military rots on the vine, this should be so concerning to everyday Canadians who don't have a functioning military that could defend us in the case of any aggression from really any country. And the one guy that was there that could broker a peace deal had left early to broker another peace deal. Like that, this is being left in the hands of the most incompetent leaders in the world, mainly Mark Carney, Keir Starmer, and Emmanuel Macron. This should be of concern to every Canadian. Canadian.
I think they sat there and they're like, well, Trump's not here. What are we going to do? Give him more money? Okay, perfect. Thanks.
That's exactly
what we always
happened.
do.
That's exactly what happened, Sheila Gunn Reid. Yep.
We've got Mark Carney going from elbows up to on your knees for Trump. What a joke. If you are a liberal voter, by the way, you should, as if you're watching, but you should feel absolutely duped, because Carney yesterday with Trump just rolled over and showed Trump his belly. Now, I don't want him to be adversarial with Trump. Actually, I was saying that all along during the campaign. This elbows up anti-Americanism is not I guess maybe it is how people are in the East, but I don't think it's reflective of the Western sensibilities about Americans. They are our single largest trading partner, a single largest military partner. We have a centuries old friendship that has endured and lasted. And Carney said it was over. And he was the guy that just really put his dukes up with Trump. And then he just was yesterday, yes, Mr. Trump. Oh, your leadership, Mr. Trump. Oh, you're just truly the leader of everything. And what an absolute joke. What a fraud of a man he is. And anyway, we've got a video of Carney praising Trump for taking bold measures to address global changes.
Nostalgia isn't a strategy. We have to change with the times and to build a better world. And some of you, such as you, Mr. President, have anticipated these massive changes and are taking bold measures to address them. All of us around this table are reinforcing our militaries and security services for the new world. But we all know that there can be no security without economic prosperity, and no prosperity without resilience. And in a world where shocks flow across the borders, that resilience comes from cooperation that starts around this table, cooperation that can lead to a new era of prosperity, energy security and critical minerals, artificial intelligence, quantum, combating human smuggling and transnational repression.
Yeah, well, he has it right that nostalgia isn't a strategy. And I think that if you talk to proponents of Western separatism, they would agree with you, Mark Carney, that nostalgia isn't a strategy that can be relied upon to make any bold moves. But the only thing that was missing there was Mark Carney coming in with his own barrel to bend over, okay? Because this is the approach that he's taken. And it is you're right, Sheila, it is such a drastic departure from campaign Mark Carney, who was he was all just a big swinging, you know what, he was going to teach Trump. We were going to rewrite all the rules. We were going to disconnect from America. And look at him now, bending the knee.
Well, look, I don't take issue with the things that Carney is saying there. Like, yes, we do need to deal with the border. Yes, we do need to deal with our trade issues. Yes, we do need to deal with energy security. But he didn't say that during the campaign. It was the conservatives who were saying those things. during the campaign, and Carney was Mr. Elbows Up, and we need to be closer to Europe, and he literally put out a campaign ad saying our relationship with the Americans as we know it is over. And then now he's just putting on the chapstick and kissing the ring. Like, it's really quite something.
Is he ever? No, I've in political strategy, this is one of the most blatant about faces we have ever witnessed. This is the guy you chose, Eastern Canada. This is the guy that rolled over at his earliest convenience. I mean, it's pathetic.
Yeah, I know. And it's not even rolling over. It's probably even doing the right thing. But this is the complete and total opposite of what he campaigned on. So he is the most cynical of politicians, that he will do whatever it takes to get power, and then whatever it takes to hang on to it.
Yeah, just like the Liberal Party of Canada is wont to do.
Yeah. We've also got another one. President Trump says Canada will be under the protection of the Golden Dome missile defense system, but $71 billion. That's what it's going to cost us if we want it. We've got a video there.
And you said a lot about acquiring Canada as a state. Did anybody talk to you about that? And where are you now?
You're from Canada, but it's up to them. They're going to have to pay a lot of tariffs, I think. They're going to have to pay a lot of money for the dome, for the Iron Dome. They want to be a part of it. So we may make a separate deal on that, by the way. We discussed that. Yeah, when the dome. That may be a separate. They want to be at 71 billion. They're going to pay.
Separate from the tariff?
In the dome. Yeah, they'll be under the dome.
And are you open to negotiating with the Iranians right now, or do you want to wait?
I've been negotiating. I told them to do the deal. They should have done the deal. The cities have been blown to pieces and we've lost a lot of people.
He said it's up to us if we want to become the 51st state. And if not, it's a $71 billion Golden Dome deal. And again, we don't have a budget. Like, we don't have a budget. We're dishing out money to Ukraine, hosting the G7, potentially investing $71 billion into the Golden Dome missile defense system. And the Liberals have not even tabled a budget. So we're just spending, I guess. This is what we're doing. I guess so.
Yeah, this is exactly what we're doing. And the complexities around the Golden Dome for Canada and the United States are that much good. It's modeled on the Israeli Iron Dome concept, where incoming medium-range ballistic missiles get fired over, they're identified by satellites, and they're taken out in the sky. But those are medium range from very, very close aggressive countries. Canada and the United States is in a much different situation. And this is why it would be so much more expensive, is because any missile that could land on us would have to be a very, very long range international missile that would come at us. So it would literally have to be a program that is happening in space. This is why it is so expensive. And this is why he's floating the humongous price tag. But Canada, we really have to think about this. Do we want to be under the protection of the Canadian military, which is non-functional, underfunded, and a complete embarrassment, to be honest? Or do we
no
want
disrespect to the serving members?
No,
that's
not
on
at all.
The government.
We know that this is not your fault. To our serving military members in Canada, we know it's not your fault. This has been a complete mismanagement, we'll say, by the federal government. Or do we want to partner with the most powerful military on earth? I mean, this is pretty much a no-brainer. Yeah, pretty much a no-brainer.
And in the meantime, while Carney is at the G7 getting closer and closer to Trump, his lunatic ministers are in other parts of the world saying crazy things about how we need to run away from the Americans. So, like, this is just an absolute schizophrenic foreign policy. We've got Industry Minister Melanie Joly, who, this is not her portfolio anymore. That she is not in foreign affairs. She's definitely not in defense or public safety. But she says Canada has been too reliant on America for security and trading, and we should now be closer to Europe and Asia. We tried to sell Asia liquefied natural gas.
And you guys said no.
The liberals said no. Anyways, she says we're the most European of all non-European countries. That may be true, but geographically, well, again, this is a regional issue. I would suggest that Westerners are probably the most American of all non-Americans. But this is nonsense. We're geographically closest to the United States. That's who we should have the good relationship with. But let's hear Melanie Joly saying the complete opposite of what Carney's saying at the G7.
Hi, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. It's a pleasure for me to have the chance to talk to you directly from the Paris Air Show, which we call the Bourget, of course, directly from Paris. And we know we're living in much more uncertain times in a dangerous world. We know that also when it comes to our own reality on the trade side and on the security side, we've been over-reliant on the US. And so therefore, we want to become closer to Europe, closer to our European partners and some key Asian partners as well. And so we are the most European of all non-European countries. That's why it was important to be here at the Paris Air Show, which is the most important forum for the aerospace sector at a time where there's so many decisions and investment made in the sector.
I think this is that's a regional statement that writes off the complete and total western part of the country. The Maritimes, probably very British Islesy, right? Quebec, obviously very European. Parts of, Central Canada, yeah, probably very European. We're part of the Commonwealth. So yeah, sure, I will concede that. But that also doesn't make any sense given the geography. Like we share the longest undefended border with the Americans. That's a market of 350 million people. And her solution is just to turn our backs on them because that's what Mark Carney campaigned on. But Mark Carney is quite literally here saying something entirely different.
And I won't concede to her for a second that we're the most non-European country, because for the vast majority of old stock Canadians who came to Canada from Europe, they left Europe for good reason, whether it be religious persecution, whether it be famine, whether it be war, whether it be whatever. All of our ancestors came to here to escape whatever craziness was happening in Europe 200 years ago, 150 years ago, 100 years ago. I would maintain that we are twins with America as it pertains to culture, to language, to societal issues, to opinions, especially those of us here in the West. And to handcuff us to Europe is to handcuff us to Europe's issues. Europe's issues are not North American issues, okay? They are unique to Europe. They have regional, regional conflicts and regional issues that have literally nothing to do with us. So here's the government of Canada dragging us back to Europe, right? With money, with funding, with she's at an air show, so they're buying military equipment, dragging us back into conflicts that our ancestors left over 100 years ago. Like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. I want nothing to do with European conflicts. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I guess, in the way the Canadian government views free speech, the right to protect yourself, taxation, they probably are pretty European, as opposed to what Albertans would like to see the American values adopted on those issues. Olivia, do we have an ad break? Or let's do an ad break and then we'll go into Trump, Israel, and Iran.
Tired of supporting woke coffee companies that hate your values? Tired of drinking coffee that comes with the burnt, bitter taste of communism. Switch to fresh roasted, specialty coffee from a family-owned company built on faith, family, and freedom. Skip the shipping. Get free coffee and some cash for gas, groceries, and ammo by becoming a Resistance Coffee Outpost today.
Do you agree with me? It is time to make Canada great again. And that is why we at Rebel News have teamed up with MCGA Hats to introduce, well, the fashion sensation of 2025. Oh, and by the way, these beautiful hats, they are made in Canada. We don't rely on cheap imports coming over from China. So what are you waiting for, folks? Show your pride. This is the perfect thing for a patriot to wear, or maybe there's a patriot in your life that you would like to gift such a hat. Please go to mcgahats.ca. That's mcgahats.ca. Don't be shy about it. Wear this cap. Let everybody know you want to make Canada great again.
Canadians know the national anthem. They stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But not every Canadian knows their rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport will change that. It looks and feels like a Canadian passport, but contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a portable, easy-to-read format. The Freedom Passport. Order one for yourself and for all the freedom lovers that you love at freedompassport.ca.
All right. Now, we talked about the elephant in the room, and that's that the elephant is actually not in the room, the elephant being Trump. And he left late last night. Well, it wasn't even late. It was right after the leaders' dinner. He left. He went back to Washington and assembled all of his advisors to deal with the escalating conflict between Iran and Israel. And Israel is in an existential fight against the potential that Iran could develop nuclear resources, and they would use them instantly on Israel and then across the region, and then go from the little Satan to the big Satan if you follow the Iranian language on the issue, and potentially attack the United States. So Carolyn Levitt is the press secretary for Trump, and she says, President Trump had a great day at the G7, even signing a major trade deal with the UK and Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Much was accomplished, but because of what's going on in the Middle East, President Trump will be leaving tonight after dinner with heads of state. And that's exactly what he did. He came in, came out, and now everybody is just milling about today, wondering what happens next.
I mean, he took the wind right out of the sails of everybody still remaining at the G7 summit, is what he did. Because President Trump is a man, if nothing else, who knows how to command the media. And without him there, it's just sort of a vacuum. It's just going to be an empty vacuum of space. But he really did show what his priorities are in this moment. It's not glad handing with the remaining leaders at the G7. He is a president that is on record said over and over and over again that he's committed to brokering peace in the Middle East. And this is a situation that is rapidly escalating. And he acknowledged that it needed his full attention. And so I don't blame him for leaving early. I mean, it's really sad for the rest of the leaders at the G7 who are not going to get his sound bites or his hot takes on these international issues. But when push comes to shove, he showed the remaining G7 leaders that well, what they're talking about here doesn't really matter to him. Doesn't really matter to him at all.
And as we'll get into it, for Trump, peace between Iran and Israel is the complete and total submission of Iran, as it should be, and a regime change, which could be the best thing for the Iranian people. And we don't, Trump is a peacemaker in the Middle East. There are the Abraham Accords. The UAE is one of the strongest allies of Israel And that is because of Trump.
Mhm.
He told the Gulf states the path to Washington goes through Jerusalem. So you figure that out and then come see me. And they did. That's what you get when you actually have somebody who will use the power and influence for good in the presidential office. We've got Ryland Givens saying the Telegraph is reporting that a disagreement between Trump and other leaders broke out at the G7 summit after President Trump refused to sign a joint statement on the summit on the issue of the war between Israel and Iran. And I think that statement called for a de-escalation on both sides. And
Right.
that's
Trump would not have it.
Trump wouldn't have it.
Trump
because
was not going to, yeah.
Because the de-escalation of Israel is a nuclear-powered Iran.
That's right. That's exactly right. And even though the official line is he left to deal with this burning issue, unraveling it between Iran and Israel, he could have left because they put pressure on him to sign this statement, and he just went, right, this is not what I'm here for. This is not what I stand for, and read the writing on the wall. If he was being pressured by the remaining G7 attendees in the room, if they were forcing his hand, he would have just up and left. He just wouldn't have had it. And maybe that's what actually, then again, maybe he went to the washroom and found tampons in the men's room. Maybe that's the reason he left.
Oh my God, how embarrassing. Could you imagine?
I mean, could you imagine Trump's face walking into a men's room and say, and I bet he did. I bet all of his staffers did. And that's another reason why they probably took off back to Washington. I mean, who would want to spend time in a place that does that, to be honest?
Right. Now, President Trump, he spoke to reporters aboard Air Force One about Israel and Iran, stating the Islamic Republic cannot be allowed to have nuclear weapons. And we saw yesterday Trump tweeting out for civilians to evacuate Tehran, and they did. That traffic jam was wild.
Oh, there was reportedly. Oh, go on. Let's watch this.
No, yeah, let's watch first.
Just posted right before we took off that you're not leaving because of a ceasefire. Why are you? Can you elaborate?
We're looking at better than ceasefire. We're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel, nice guy, but he doesn't get it right too often. But we're not looking. We're looking for better than a ceasefire.
What's your secret getting into this more? You're not going to invest in this conflict at this stage. You're going to do anything more for Israel right now?
We're doing pretty well. Right now, we're doing pretty well. Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
What was the thinking on the call for Tehran to evacuate? Is there a threat or is there incoming? What was the thinking on the full evacuation?
I want people to be safe. And that's always possible. A thing like that could happen. I just want people to be safe.
Is there any new concern about U.S. troops or assets in the region at all today?
We have great people that know how to protect themselves.
And when you say better, what specifically do you
So
mean?
hard if they do anything to our people. We'll come down so hard, then the gloves are off so beautifully. Well, I think they know not to touch our troops.
Are you sending the vice?
Our troops are ready.
Like, of course, he's right when he says Iran must not have nuclear weapons. Of course, he is right. It is an unstable country. It's an undemocratic country. It would be inherently dangerous for the rest of the world if Iran were to be able to get their hands on or develop long-range nuclear weapons. I mean, of course he is not wrong when he says that.
Do we have images of just the traffic jam leaving Tehran yesterday after Trump tweeted for civilians to evacuate? They were listening. Boy, were they ever. And I guess that's the power of social media.
Tehran is a city of about 9 million people.
Oh, wow.
In Iran, and reportedly the traffic leading out of the city was in the hundreds of thousands. Lineups at every gas stations was 5 and 6 hours long of people wishing to get to take his advice and to get out of the country. This is just incredible footage. Look at all of those vehicles. Look at all of those vehicles. As far as the eye can see, bumper to bumper traffic, just people getting ready to leave. And this is, I mean,
Yeah.
this is the power of President Trump when he says take cover. These are the people of Tehran taking cover.
Yeah, they don't listen to the mullahs who want them to stay in place and be human shields.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got another clip from President Trump. He says he's looking for Iran to give up entirely, not do what Macron said and just achieve a ceasefire. There should be no nuclear proliferation in Iran whatsoever. Trump also said he hopes Iran's nuclear program is wiped out long before the U.S. has to get involved.
Is better than a ceasefire. What are you looking for here?
A real end, not a ceasefire. An end.
So something that will be permanent.
Yeah. Or giving up entirely. That's okay too.
Are you close there? Is that possible in the next 24 or 48 hours?
Certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible, yeah.
Has the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the Secretary of Defense drawn up plans for you if Iran were to attack U.S. bases or do any damage to U.S. bases?
Just can't do it.
Can I ask you, because there's been some skepticism, is there any guarantee that if the U.S. did get involved militarily, that a U.S. bomb could destroy Iran's nuclear program and facilities?
Everything or anything on life, you know that. Look at you, right? There's no guarantee. But you're saying a guarantee on what?
Do you think if the U.S. got involved militarily, it would actually wipe out Iran's nuclear program? Or where's your assessment of that?
I hope their program's going to be wiped out long before that. But they're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
Do you have any reason to believe the Israelis are going to slow down, or are they going to hit the accelerator right now because they've got superiority?
Yeah, over the next 2 days, you're going to find out.
Has the Gang of Eight?
Nobody's slowed up so far.
Has the Gang of Eight been notified about what's coming in the next couple days?
We'll be talking to them. But what can you do? It's not necessary.
Yeah.
So he's saying that he hopes that Israel is able to lick this before the United States even has to get involved. Because if the United States gets involved, okay, they have the world's most powerful military. They have access to the most military aircraft, military missiles, and military might in the universe. And what Donald Trump is saying right now is that he hopes they don't have to get involved, simply because the loss of life would be so great. Iran would just be trounced by America if they got involved. And he's saying, well, I hope it doesn't come to that. What he's saying, without actually saying, is I hope the Iranian leaders think about this long and hard before they undertake any further acts of aggression against Israel.
You know, I think this is a message to the rest of the world, as in, stay out of Israel's way and let them finish this, because they certainly can. The Israeli military is a powerful military, I think the most powerful one in the region. And they are very restrained and hamstrung by the left in Gaza. I mean, they could finish that war in a heartbeat in Gaza if they were allowed to actually fight a war. And I think this is a message to the rest of the world saying, look, let Israel do what it needs to do to protect itself from a nuclear strike.
Right. Yep. That sounds accurate.
Now, we've got a video from Israel's Minister of Transportation, and they're saying that they're not allowing Israelis to travel abroad at this stage. Only those who came to visit, tourists and business visitors or diplomats will be allowed to leave the country. Let's watch this, and then I'll tell you why I think this is happening.
Okay.
חשוב לי להבהיר, אנחנו לא נאשר יציאות של ישראלים לחו"ל בשלב זה. מי שיוצא לחו"ל הם אותם ישראלים.
Oh, we don't have it dubbed. Okay. All right. Well, I don't speak Hebrew. So that wasn't dubbed. But here's what I think is that everybody has mandatory military service in Israel. and Israel is getting on major war footing right now. So what they want is not like everybody is in the military or could be activated as a reserve there. And so I think what they're getting ready to do is they're getting on a major war footing. They want to make sure that all of the Israelis, because they're all trained, they all served in the military, they're getting into war readiness. And they don't want any deserters going to the United States or wherever, because a lot of Israelis have dual citizenship with a lot of other places in the world. But it felt like when I was there the few times that like a good 1/3 of the country was also American, and they're trying to make sure that they have all the military might that they need should they need it.
I think that fits with the puzzle pieces just currently unfolding in the world right now, where they're fighting on 4 different fronts, right? Like they've got enemies coming from them from all directions. And so if they're gonna ramp things up, then they need to be ready and have their people in place. But the incredible thing about Israel is that their people don't hesitate to defend their country. And so let's hope it doesn't come to that. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But it's good to see that they're getting their ducks in a row in any case.
Yeah, the entire country is defended by Zoomers, it felt like when I was there. I mean, I'm like, everywhere you look, well, of course, because everybody has to do their mandatory military service right after high school. But even while they're in high school, they're sort of choosing their track in the military. Are you going to be a medic? Are you going to be a fighter pilot? Or like you're sort of, are you going to join the infantry? You sort of are deciding while you're still in high school and taking courses towards that. But yeah, the whole place is defended by Zoomers. And then you get here and ours need cry rooms. Like they're different kids over there.
Ours march in pride parades. Yeah. Ours raise pride flags or shame flags,
right,
like I like to call them. Yeah. It's a different it is a different world over there. It is a different world.
We've got one chat here from Alberta. Don, he gives us $5 and says, and I don't know if this is true, I can't fact check it, but I'll take each word. Zelensky did the massive drone attack 3 days before he was to meet with Putin for a peace talk. Then he complains about retaliation. Brookfield was promised huge contracts for Ukraine rebuild. I don't know about Brookfield, but I do know that BlackRock sure was. BlackRock has a neat little racket going. BlackRock sells arms on one side to escalate the conflict and destroy the country, and then gets the contract to rebuild it on the other side. They've closed the loop on the industry there.
That's insane. Number one, that's insane. It is a crazy conflict of interest, and we should have international laws prohibiting companies, like BlackRock from doing that, from profiting from the spoils of war. But would it surprise you if Brookfield also had something? Because remember, Brookfield is the octopus. Brookfield is the octopus that has its tentacles in absolutely everything. Would it surprise you if they had the same racket? Would it surprise you, Sheila? Would not surprise
Absolutely
me
not.
in the least.
You mean create the housing crisis by your boss advising Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and then get the contracts to build the modular housing on the other side? Brookfield's doing the exact same thing, just to us. They don't have to be off in Ukraine. This is the Brookfield circle of industry closing in on itself also.
And Brookfield is heavily invested in developing nuclear energy, and maybe that extends into nuclear weapons. Who knows? I mean, the more we dig, the more we're going to find out. So let's not stop digging on Brookfield. All we know right now is that there is no good coming out of that company.
No.
None at all.
Right. We've got a couple of things that were breaking before we came on air. Damian Kurek, so Battle River Crowfoot, he's he's in the House of Commons resigning his seat. So this is so that Poilievre could run. And he announced that he was resigning his seat previously. And now he's just making it official. He said, today he's posted to X. Today I'm resigning my seat in the House of Commons so that a by-election can be called as soon as possible to allow our Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre to run in Battle River Crowfoot to earn a seat in the House of Commons, where he will continue fighting for Canadians and holding the Liberal government to account. But he said that he is not stepping away, and just people who are in the know suggest that Damian will be running eventually, maybe in the next election, in a different riding. Or that he will run in his same riding and Poilievre will end up in another. But we wouldn't want the embarrassment of having the leader lose his seat and potentially win the next election. Wouldn't that be a disaster?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah,
it
it would. Well, all the best to Damian Kurek as he figures out these next steps. I think that what he's doing is extraordinarily selfless for his party and for the future of Canada. And really, all the best to him as he takes these next steps and figures out what's going to happen.
That man should never have to buy his own beer.
Never
Ever again.
Never
again. You see him, you buy him a beer. He's at the curling rink, you get him the beer. You don't let him pay for his own drinks, no matter what.
Yeah,
anywhere.
Because he had to work really, really hard to win that seat, to earn the trust of the people in Calgary, and to do this is just it's extraordinarily selfless and a perfect example of what we should look for in our elected politicians in Canada.
Right, right. That's the bittersweet irony in all of this. Is he's the kind of guy you want in politics because he's not in it for himself.
Yeah.
And yet he won't be the MP there. I rag on Doug Ford a lot, just deservedly, right? Like I just really give it to him. But Premier Doug Ford said he wants to know who the Vaughan homeowner was who got charged after scaring off car thieves with a warning shot last week. And he said he should get a medal for standing up. It's like down in the US, we should have the castle law. This is good, Doug Ford. He's being good. Let's watch it.
Did you hear about the guy that these thugs came up, ready to steal his car? They're all in their masks and everything. So I guess he was a hunter or something. He shot up in the air. I don't recommend that, by the way. But he gets charged. I got to find out this guy's name and number, and I'm going to hold a fundraiser for lawyer fees for him. He should get a medal for standing up. It's like down in the U.S., we should have the castle law. Someone breaks into your house, and I know any of these people here, someone breaks in your house and they're coming after your kids and you're coming after your spouse, you're going to fight like you've never fought before. You're going to use anything that you have, be it weapons, baseball bats, knives. You're protecting your family. These thugs shouldn't be coming in there.
Well, okay. On the surface, Doug, what you're saying is 100% true, but I find it really, really hard to believe anything that Doug Ford says when the policies of the Liberal government that Doug Ford kept afloat are responsible for this unfolding disaster in Canada across the country. So I see how Doug Ford could feel bad for the guy and want to, offer to hold a fundraiser for him. But what about the rest of Canadians who are being held hostage by rampant criminality unfolding across the country? Doug Ford, you had your chance to get rid of the Liberals who brought in this catch and release program that we have in Canada that inherently puts Canadian families at risk, and you did nothing. You did nothing.
Yeah, I'm glad that you made that point because Doug Ford worked really hard to sabotage the Poilievre campaign from the very beginning. And Poilievre was the tough on crime candidate. So it's a bit much to hear Doug Ford, although he's right in everything he's saying, but the phone calls coming from inside the House.
That's right.
Because he had a chance to do something about this, and he sided with the guy who continues to make it worse.
Yep. The reason this guy is now facing criminal charges, and nobody here is blaming that guy. We absolutely agree that he had a right to defend himself, his property, and his family. But the reason why this guy is now having to crowdfund or launch a legal defense is because of the policies of the Liberal Party of Canada. I mean, the disconnect there is just enormous.
Next story from Lisa's home province. It's from Jamie Sarkanak. whom I enjoy over at the National Post.
She's the best.
She's great.
Yep.
She's got a story on a former law student taking the University of Saskatchewan to court over their kangaroo misconduct trials. This law student at the time, he mildly questioned DEI. I believe what he actually said was, and as a lawyer, that's the point of being a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
That we should hear both sides. And he got into like DEI tribunal trouble for saying the thing that the law profession exists to provide for people, like to make sure that your side is advocated for, whatever that side is, give everybody a fair hearing. And he said that, and he was DEI tribunal.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And in Saskatchewan, our public institutions are absolutely infested with DEI activists. Okay, if you don't say the thing, if you don't toe the line, if you stray from the official narrative, even a tiny bit, they will eviscerate you. And this is the lesson for the government of Saskatchewan, because let's not forget, the University of Saskatchewan receives millions of dollars of funding from the government of Saskatchewan. The government of Saskatchewan is paying for these DEI programs that silence conservatives, that silence dissent, that silence productive debate. Where you can have no debate, you can have no resolution. And the left knows this. They shut it down before it even starts, and this is a black eye on the province of Saskatchewan. We are identifying, this story identifies such a huge problem that's happening on every level, in every public institution in Saskatchewan. And if the government of Saskatchewan was smart, if they were smart, they would deal with this head on. They would deal with this head on. This does not foment a healthy society when we have dissenting voices being silenced like this. But here's the crazy thing. The University of Saskatchewan is going to learn their lesson, because this kid, what is his name? Do we have it here, Sheila?
I don't have it.
This law student is challenging them in court. He is just saying, I don't have it either. Oh darn! I wish I could give him some hearty props and tell him that we wish him the very, very best in his challenge. Because of course we should not be doing this to our law students at the University of Saskatchewan. We should not be doing this in our public institutions in Saskatchewan. And if the government of Saskatchewan wanted to say $500 million, toot sweet, they would cancel every DEI initiative across the board. We should be a merit-based society in Saskatchewan. We've got the smartest, hardest working, most generous people on earth. And yet we are elevating these DEI didn't earn it campaigners and dragging our province down. I mean, this kid has just got to win. He's just got to win. My very, very best to him. We'll be watching this carefully.
Well, and in Alberta, we're eagerly awaiting legislation that was announced in 2024 by Premier Smith, who said these out-of-control regulatory bodies cannot stifle the free speech of their members. You can't be sanctioned. So it's a pledge to protect the right of professionals to express their personal views. So they're reviewing the professional regulatory bodies in Alberta, and they're introducing legislation to limit how they can police the speech of their own members. And this would protect the likes of Jordan Peterson, one of, I think, the biggest thinkers and widest read writers in the Anglosphere, from attacks from regulatory bodies in an attempt to silence his speech. They are going to submit him to social media training. So somebody with 220 X followers is going to go after him and his, 2 million, 4 million social media platform. Like, it's the most bizarre thing ever. But we're not doing that here in Alberta. We're not.
And add that to the list of things that the government of Saskatchewan must undertake if they want to keep the NDP from forming government in 2028. The government of Saskatchewan must right the ship. They've been in power so long that they've got a little bit lazy. And they've let things fall by the wayside and not tackle these problems head on. And if they want to, they will pass legislation to protect professionals in Saskatchewan exactly the way Alberta is. Or you will watch a brain drain straight out of Saskatchewan circa 1995, where everybody with a little bit of ambition and a little bit of entrepreneurship and who values their freedom taking off for the free shores of Alberta. The government of Saskatchewan must get into line on these issues, and they must get into line as soon as possible.
I just saw this, and again, I'm here at the G7, so I'm missing a little bit of news. Masked men tried to steal a vehicle from Ontario Premier Doug Ford's home. And he told the story at a press conference this morning. Why am I just reading this now?
Do we have it? I want to see it.
Do we have the clip, Olivia? I would love to see that. But again, Dougie, the phone call's coming from inside the house.
Again?
You cozied up to the Liberals, and then now your car is being stolen. It's wild.
Hannah.
I don't know if we have the clip or not, but I just see it written up in the National Post. Anyways, we don't have to show the clip, but if we could find it, that's great. But that is really quite something else.
So Doug Ford himself is a victim of the Liberal soft on crime policy. Perfect. That's the headline. That's it. That's the story.
Doug Ford mugged by reality.
Here we have something. Yeah, we have something that just popped into the chat. Olivia, can we play it?
Yeah.
I do want to see this.
We got one. We got one from Richard Southern.
Excellent.
So 4 thugs come racing down my street, masks on, ready to take the car out of the driveway. Surprise, surprise, at 12:30, the 2 police cars are there. The chase is on. So they chase him. One guy runs out, takes off. They capture him, and they catch these other guys. But just imagine all the unfortunate people that don't have security there at their house.
Right.
With masks on, and they have all the tools ready to break in and everything. You know, and guess what's going to happen? They're going to be back out. Why don't you guys come over for a barbecue tonight? You know, I'll take care of you better than the police. And thank God the police got you, and I never did. Anyways, that's my rant. I'm sick and tired of the weak justice system that we have. They have to get a backbone, and we need to start throwing these people in jail. This is turning into a lawless society. That's my rant, and that's it. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you.
Look at Olivia Chow. Did you see Olivia Chow behind him? Just Olivia chowing it up.
Yeah, you know what? I await with eager anticipation the Ben Bankus voiceover of that press conference. Again, nothing he said there was wrong, except for his position during the campaign.
Right. Which absolutely backed up everything the Liberals were doing. I mean, he did his level best to make sure that the Conservatives were defeated, and they were largely in Ontario. Doug Ford could have done the entire country, such a huge favor in unseating the Liberals, and he did not. But something he said there, I think something like in a rare moment of self-realization, Doug said, imagine all the people that don't have a police detail, guarding their exactly that, Doug. Imagine being a regular Canadian that has to defend itself without actually defending itself. Like, don't you dare fight back against those criminals, because then you will be charged. You'll have to defend yourself for defending yourself. It is just crazy. Like, the disconnect between these elected elites and the rest of us, it just couldn't be more glaring.
Speaking about weirdo disconnects, we have to wrap the show up, but we can't do it without the Daily Cringe. We've got Mark Carney and his wife. You can feel the warmth between these two, right? Like, they're just a couple that that it's just deep, abiding affection between the two of them. Let's watch this.
The Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, and Mrs. Diana Fox Carney. Le Très Honorable Mark Carney, Premier ministre du Canada et Madame Diana Fox Carney.
Like, compare that to the warm moments that you saw between Anna and Pierre Polyev, and like how she was by his side. He's leaving her in the dust. I think she's got about 6 inches of height on him too. So he's really walking fast to get away from her.
That may be part of the reason why he doesn't like being photographed or seen directly beside her. Like, it may be part of it, but like, this to me looks like the 6-foot COVID protocol never, ever, ever left their house. And our friend Rocky Mountain Duke said something so hilarious on Twitter. It was like, tell us you sleep in separate beds without telling us.
Oh, they have, for sure, they have Flintstone beds. His and her.
Yes, Fred and Wilma beds. Yeah, these are not people that share an affectionate, loving relationship, obviously. And I will give it to Diana Fox Carney. She's British and they're not known for their warm fuzziness. But really,
Right.
that's the mother of your children and you leave her 6 feet behind. Like, if my husband would never, ever, ever, ever think about doing this. Never, ever in the history of the world. Because what if Diana Fox Carney toppled over behind him? He would have no idea. I mean, he would have no idea that she needed his assistance. It's just embarrassing. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
It is cringe. This is cringe.
That's just cringy. That is bad husbandry there.
Yes.
And I noticed something the other day. I think I'll do a video on it tomorrow and I'll point it out to people. Because I think I'm hosting for Ezra tomorrow, so I'm thinking about my monologue. Something that wasn't quite worthy of a video here, but I could sort of turn it in, just show people the clips. I was unaware that she was going to Kananaskis, and here's why. And I made a mental note of it on the tarmac when I saw it. These two net zero fanatics, zealots, got off the Challenger, and then because she was wearing red, it was quite noticeable. They had the entourage of idling SUVs on the tarmac. He got into one and she got in the other. And I was like, okay, these two, in my mind, I'm like, Sheila, put a pin in it, because maybe they're not going to the same place, right? Like, maybe she's going to Calgary and he's going to Kananaskis. But then I was like, I saw this and I was like, she went to the exact same place as him in a completely separate SUV. They just didn't travel together. I was like, net zero zealot taking 2 separate SUVs to the exact same place.
Isn't that interesting? So
it's sure something.
Well, it may be what we're witnessing here is a marriage of convenience. This is just a marriage of convenience. This is just a marriage for the cameras, but these are not two people who are really connected to each other. I mean, obviously.
I don't even want to speculate that far. I was like, you guys are trying to tax my SUV. You guys have 2 idling on the tarmac. You can't even carpool to the exact same place. Are you guys going to fight over the radio? Like, what's your problem?
That's wild. That's actually kind of wild. Yeah.
Huh. Anyway, I'll do a video on it. I'll show people, because it'll be like the forward and to the back, like the whole like analysis of the Kennedy shooting. I was like, what's that? Slow it down. What's that? That's what that sliver of red slipping into that SUV. So I rewound and like followed her, and then she went behind a car, and then she popped out again. It was I like slow-moed it several times to make sure that she's getting into a different vehicle. And then I thought, Sheila, don't overreact. She could be going to a different place. And then, I was talking to Sid and Angelica about it, and they're like, well, maybe there are security protocols in place. I'm like, she's not
a head of state. Nope.
She's not involved in the continuation of government. It's not like how the VP has to travel separately from the president for the continuation of the United States government.
Right.
She's just Diana Fox Carney. She just got in a different car, a different huge SUV, to go to apparently the exact same place. Crazy.
Like, thank God you're there, Sheila, because that is a super astute observation that you made.
Thank you.
And if it weren't for you being on the ground there at the G7 summit in Kananaskis, none of us would know that Mark and Diana Fox Carney have a weird relationship.
Oh, I think we all know that. You don't need me to tell you that.
Well, now it's confirmed. Now it's confirmed because of your work. Now it is confirmed. But no, I can't wait for that report. I am here for it all day long.
It's just such a weird thing that I noticed, but that's part of my job as a journalist, is to notice the things the mainstream media don't. Olivia, can you tell us, do we have any more chats, or I know we need to wrap up because you guys need the studio. Okay, great. All right. Lise, thank you very much for hosting with me while I'm at the G7 Summit in the Banff Media Center, and you're in beautiful Regina, Saskatchewan. I think, time permitting, I think it'll be me hosting tomorrow if I can sort of get out of here at a respectable time this evening when things wrap up. There's no media access at all, so we'll, if we get a last list of things that say it's only pooled media, I think we're going to do a wrap up, pull the pin, and get back to our respective cities. So I quite likely will be seeing you tomorrow, and I can't wait for that.
Well, I can't wait either. As you know, this is just my favorite days of the week, and I will see you same place, same time tomorrow.
Great. Thanks, Olivia and Efron, everybody working behind the scenes at Rebel News to put the show together so that it's there whenever you want to see it. Thanks to everybody who watches the show, shares the show with somebody they think needs to see it, and pitches in a little bit to keep the lights on here at Rebel News. We really, truly, absolutely couldn't do it without you. We don't have the deep pockets of all these people who hire people a full-time salary to hold a piece of tinfoil, get the sun to catch them just right. Like, I can't believe that that's a job over at the CBC, but it is anyway. Thanks to everybody. And as my friend David Menzies always says, stay safe and stay sane.